All right, so you probably saw those headlines flashing across your screens first. Government shutdown narrowly avoided yet again.
Oh, yeah.
But here in the deep dive, you and I both know, that's rarely the whole story.
No, not at all.
Like, what was really going on behind the scenes to strike this latest 11th hour deal?
Exactly.
And what does this tell us about the political chessboard and the players in D.C. right now?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to untangle today.
Yeah.
We're diving deep into the Democratic response to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's decision to back that stopgap spending bill that was passed by Republicans.
Right.
And let's just say that reaction was anything but,
Unified.
Unified, yeah.
A little divided.
Yeah, a little divided.
We've got a really interesting mix of sources for this one to make sure we're seeing the whole picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at reports from Fox News for their take.
Of course.
As well as some pretty strong opinions being shared on MSNBC.
Oh, of course.
We also dug into that detailed reporting from Politico.
Always good.
And added in some analysis from different commentators to kind of help us put it all together.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Our mission in this deep dive is to really go beyond just those headlines. You know? We want you to understand those internal pressures that this vote exposed within the Democratic Party. We're going to take a look at House Speaker Mike Johnson's moves. And ultimately think about those long-term political consequences.
Right, because this wasn't just like a routine spending vote, right? It seems like it really tapped into some core debates.
Oh, absolutely.
Happening within, a major political party.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get right to the heart of it, like that central conflict.
Okay.
Schumer's decision to back that Republican-passed bill.
Right.
And the, wave of criticism that came from within his own party.
Yeah.
Walk us through his reasoning.
Sure.
What was his main argument for going this route?
So his core argument, as he put it out there, was that they absolutely had to avoid a government shutdown. He kept saying that a shutdown would essentially be a gift to former President Trump.
Ah, okay.
Which, he was really trying to prevent.
Yeah.
He also was really emphasizing the very real effects it would have for everyday people.
Right.
Essential government things, food assistance, healthcare access, all those critical services.
Right.
His thinking was that, a shutdown would just distract from the bigger picture of pushing back against the Republican agenda. And in a moment of, very clear frustration during that MSNBC interview, he used a less than polite term to describe Republican lawmakers.
I think we all remember that moment.
Yeah. And he quickly corrected himself, but, to show that he was very frustrated.
Right. Yeah, that definitely got some attention, that little slip. But it doesn't seem like his justifications, even with that level of, emotion behind them, really calm things down within his own party.
Not really.
It seems like the reaction from some was really pretty strong.
Yeah, I think that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
If you look at the analysis on MSNBC, it was pretty critical.
Yeah.
Former Democratic Congresswoman Donna Edwards did not mince words. She called Schumer's support a black mark and a stain on his leadership. Her big thing seemed to be the inconsistency. Like talking about fighting hard one day and then caving the next.
Yeah.
And she's worried that this is like giving Republicans a roadmap. Like showing them that being aggressive will get them what they want from Democrats.
Okay.
That's a big concern.
Yeah, I see.
Gets at that deeper frustration that a lot of Democrats are feeling.
Yeah.
It's like they're always reacting instead of being the ones setting the agenda.
Right.
It makes you wonder, do they have a clear set of principles to guide them? Because Johnson's unified front really caught them off guard.
Yeah, it seems like that speed of the reversal really kind of hit a nerve, right? That sense that there wasn't really a plan or a clear strategy at play.
Yeah.
And MSNBC commentator Michael Steele even wondered, did the Republicans feel like they had punked Schumer?
Yeah.
Especially given how divided the Democrats seem to be about it all?
And Donna Edwards basically said the same thing.
Okay.
She said there was no message, no strategy, and at the end of the day, no leadership.
Wow.
And that's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Especially coming from someone in the same party.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Simone Sanders Townsend on MSNBC, she really let loose too.
Right. She didn't hold back either.
Oh, no.
I remember.
She said Schumer folded like a paper napkin.
Ooh.
Which is not a good look.
No, not a very strong image.
No.
And then didn't she read a quote from Rebecca Traister?
Oh, yeah, the journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, Traister's basically said that Democrats are talking about the dangers of Trump.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, they don't seem to want to stand up to him or his party, especially in this crucial moment.
Right.
And Townsend was clear, like, she was pissed about what was actually in the bill.
Right.
Not just about the politics of it all,
right,
but what it actually meant for people.
And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because it went beyond just, like, people venting their frustrations, right?
Yeah.
There were actual talks about, like, challenging Schumer's leadership from within the party.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, real talk.
Townsend said a Democratic Tea Party was born that day.
Oh, okay.
Which is a huge statement.
Yeah.
This isn't just about Schumer. It's about a much bigger fight within the party.
Yeah.
Over ideology and strategy. Kind of like what the Republican establishment has been dealing with from their populist wing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it suggests there's a real movement building inside the party, pushing back against what they see as weak leadership. And then things got even more heated when Alicia Menendez on MSNBC said that some Democrats were privately saying that AOC,
right,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, should primary Schumer. And Thompson's response:
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Anyone can primary him. Anyone.
Wow, that's a pretty clear message.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it wasn't just commentators, right? At least one elected Democrat came out and publicly questioned Schumer's leadership.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Representative Jasmine Crockett said that Schumer's whole argument about a shutdown being the worst possible outcome was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, strong words.
And when they asked her directly if Senate Democrats should think about replacing Schumer, she didn't exactly say no.
Yeah.
She said they need to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer is the one to lead in this moment.
I mean, that's not a vote of confidence.
Not real.
When you have that kind of public questioning of a leader from within their own party, it really shows you just how deep the division runs.
Yeah, it does.
So while Schumer's trying to handle what he saw as a really risky situation, it seems like he accidentally stumbled into some pretty intense internal drama.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. So let's turn our attention now to the other big player in all of this, House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Right.
How did he manage to get that spending bill through the House so smoothly?
Yeah, that's the big question.
What was his secret?
Well, Johnson got that bill passed with, from what we're hearing, almost unanimous Republican support. And then he made a pretty clever move. He sent everyone home.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sent the House members home.
Smart.
Which basically stopped the Senate Democrats from having any chance to negotiate further or use their position to make changes. By sending them home, he put all the pressure on the Senate.
Right.
They either had to pass the bill as it was or face a shutdown.
I see.
So it was a very calculated move.
It was, to
take control of the situation.
Totally. And it sounds like Schumer and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries weren't expecting that.
No, they really weren't.
From what we're hearing, they were kind of banking on the fact that the Republicans would need some Democratic votes to get that resolution passed.
Right.
And they thought that would give them some bargaining power.
Yeah, to get some things they wanted in the bill.
Right, exactly.
But the interesting thing is, how did Johnson keep his caucus so unified?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Yeah.
What compromises did he make behind the scenes to get that kind of support?
Right.
So, political leadership 101.
Yeah, seriously. And he kept that notoriously, let's say, energetic caucus in line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Lost just one single Republican vote in the House.
Wow.
So that really put Schumer between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, pass the bill as is or risk that shutdown.
Exactly.
One report even said he defied the odds.
Yeah.
And I think that really highlights a possible miscalculation on the Democrats' part.
Oh, how so?
They might have underestimated Johnson, his skills, and his ability to keep his party together.
Well, Republican strategist Susan Del Percio definitely thinks so.
What did she say?
She said that the Democrats were outplayed by Republicans in this whole showdown.
Okay.
And she even said that their biggest mistake was underestimating House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Wow.
She even went as far as saying Democratic leadership should now respect him and maybe even fear him.
Strong words.
I know, right? Like, she's acknowledging that he was really effective in this situation.
Totally. It's kind of crazy how fast things can change in politics, you know?
It really is.
Johnson, who's relatively new in the speaker's chair, seems to have really scored a big win here.
He did.
In terms of, like, party unity and knowing how to play the game. Oh, and it's worth remembering that he supposedly got that rock-solid Republican support by promising them that Vice President J.D. Vance.
Right.
And just to remind everyone, J.D. Vance is the vice president.
Yes.
That J.D. Vance would make sure President Trump would keep trying to cut federal funding.
Ah, smart.
That probably helped a lot to get those fiscal conservatives on board, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They were hearing that.
They do. It gives them that extra bit of comfort, right?
Totally.
That this wasn't some big change from their goal of smaller government,
right?
Less spending.
So Johnson's success in the House really put Schumer in that tough spot in the Senate.
Yeah, he had a tough choice.
And it seems like in the process, it really revealed some pretty big cracks in the Democratic Party.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 9 Democratic senators,
right,
plus that one independent who usually votes with them,
yeah,
ended up voting to move that GOP spending bill forward.
Uh-huh.
I bet the Democratic base was not happy about that.
Oh, they were not. Politico said they were enraged. Those senators, even though they voted to keep the government running, right, they broke with most of their party.
Yeah.
And a lot of Democrats saw that as giving in to Republican demands.
Right. Okay.
They were not happy.
And their reasoning for those votes was mostly about avoiding the whole mess of a shutdown, right?
Yeah, that was the main thing.
Okay.
They talked a lot about the chaos and all the bad stuff that would happen.
Yeah.
If the government actually shut down.
Right. Like Schumer was saying.
Exactly. Very similar arguments.
But it seems like that wasn't enough for a lot of people in the party. And there's even been talk of some consequences for those senators who voted yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What kind of consequences?
Well, Politico called it the fury of the Democratic base.
Ooh.
And it's led to a lot of people talking about retribution via primary challenges.
Ah.
You know, trying to vote those senators out in the next election.
Interesting.
It's kind of like what we've seen with the Republicans.
Oh, yeah. Those challenges fueled by the Mojie wing.
Right. Right.
But usually Democratic primaries are more about, like, generational change or disagreements about policy.
Yeah, yeah.
But this feels different.
Yeah.
It feels like it's coming from a place of feeling like the party didn't stand strong enough against the Republicans.
Okay, so this whole division within the Democratic Party,
right,
it's not really following those traditional lines, right?
Right.
Like moderate versus progressive?
No, not really.
It seems like something else is going on.
Yeah.
Ann Caprara,
right,
who's the chief of staff for Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker,
yes,
had a really interesting take on this.
Oh, what did she say?
She said that it's not really about being on the left or the right. It's more about those who want to fight and those who want to cave.
Oh, wow.
That really sums up the frustration, doesn't it?
It does.
Like those who feel like Schumer just gave in when he didn't have to.
Yeah, and that it hurt the party in the long run.
So we've talked about the drama within the Democrats. Yeah.
We've looked at Johnson's strategy.
Huh?
But what about the bigger picture?
What do you mean?
Like, what could this all mean for the Democratic Party down the road?
Ah, the long game.
Yeah, and for politics in general.
Okay, well, there are a few things to think about. First,
right,
those Democratic senators who voted for the bill, even if they're not up for re-election right away,
right,
they could still face some backlash. Like Senator Shaheen and Peters are retiring.
Okay.
And then you've got Senator Durbin in Illinois.
Right.
He's an interesting case.
Oh, so?
He might face a shadow primary.
Oh, what's that?
It means potential challengers are already getting organized, even before he says if he's running again.
Wow, okay.
But then you have someone like Senator Ossoff from Georgia.
Right.
He's up for re-election next year.
Yeah.
He's got to be careful.
Yeah, Georgia's a swing state.
Right. If he alienates key parts of the Democratic base,
right,
it could hurt his fundraising and all that grassroots support. Yeah.
So he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, and this is all happening while the Democratic Party's popularity is kind of,
struggling.
Yeah, struggling a little.
Yeah.
That recent CNN poll showed their favorability rating is at a record low.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
What's causing that?
Well, one reason they pointed out is that Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are frustrated.
Okay.
That their leaders aren't standing up to Trump and the Republicans strongly enough.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and this whole spending bill fight probably didn't help with that, right?
No, probably not.
It kind of feeds into this narrative that the GOP now has more power in negotiations.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Especially after Johnson showed he can keep his party united.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Right. Johnson kept the Republicans together, got the bill passed without a lot of drama.
Yeah, it was a smooth operation.
And that can make the GOP bolder in future fights.
You might feel like they can push harder. knowing they have that unity.
Yeah, exactly. And it could really shift the balance of power.
For sure.
Oh, and we also heard that Schumer was worried about what Trump and even Elon Musk might try to do
Oh, right.
if there was a shutdown.
Yeah, what about them?
Schumer specifically mentioned that he was afraid they would use a shutdown to push their own agendas.
Interesting.
Like Trump might try to lay off federal workers.
Oh, wow.
And Musk, who knows what he'd get up to.
Right. He's unpredictable.
Totally. So even though it caused a lot of tension within his own party, that fear of what they might do definitely influenced Schumer's decision.
Makes sense.
So to wrap things up for you, dear listener,
Yes.
what are the main things we learned from this deep dive into how Democrats reacted to that near shutdown?
All right. Well, firstly, Schumer trying to avoid a shutdown. It definitely showed how divided the Democratic Party is.
Yeah.
There's a real split between those who want to avoid chaos at all costs
Right.
and those who think they need to fight the Republicans harder, even if it means risking a shutdown.
Okay.
Secondly, it seems like the Democrats underestimated Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
They didn't think he could keep the Republicans so united.
Right.
And that put them at a real disadvantage in the negotiations.
Okay.
And lastly,
Yeah.
this whole thing has made people ask some serious questions about where the Democrats go from here.
Right.
Who's going to lead them?
Yeah.
What's their plan to go up against the Republicans?
Yeah.
Especially with Trump possibly coming back into the picture.
Right. It's a big question mark hanging over everything.
Yeah, it is.
So on that note, here's something for you to think about.
Okay.
Given all the strong reactions we've talked about,
Right.
the public disagreements,
Yeah.
and even the talk of those primary challenges, how do you think this whole thing will affect the Democrats' ability to work together and to be effective in the future?
Interesting question.
What does it tell you about the crazy pressure political leaders are under these days?
Yeah.
With everyone so divided.
It's tough.
Totally. So think about those different perspectives we talked about today. And what do you think is the best way forward for the Democrats in this, let's be honest, pretty challenging time?
Yeah. Lots to consider.
Lots to consider. We'll see what happens.
We will.
Until next time, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
See you then.